Hello and welcome to our 8th episode of Business-Indonesia's podcast series. I'm Andra Wisnu, and this is from the Archipelago. Indonesia's healthcare sector is growing but facing real pressure. Local content rules aim to cut import dependence, yet the country still relies heavily on overseas supplies. With rising demand and global trade tensions, how is the industry adapting? Today we're joined by Mr. Rainer Ruppel, Managing Director of PT Braun Medical Indonesia and PT Braun Pharmaceutical Indonesia, to discuss how companies are navigating these challenges and what it means for the future of the healthcare system for the country. Pak Ruppel, you want to introduce yourself?
Thank you, Pak Andra. Good morning, everyone. Happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation. My name is Rainer Ruppel. I'm the Managing Director of the two legal entities here from B. Braun in Indonesia. One a commercial organization based in Kuningan here in Jakarta, and the other one our production site, which is based in Cikampek.
Thank you for coming to our show, Pak Ruppel. Quick question. How long then have you been in Indonesia now?
I'm now 7 years with B. Braun in Indonesia, but more than 30 years with the B. Braun Group, based in Germany before in some global functions.
Okay. Based on your experience working in Germany and working in Indonesia, what's the biggest adjustment you had to make?
I mean, getting used to, understanding the local healthcare market, its dynamics, the way of also running an organization, the intercultural differences, coming from a low context country to a high context country. Team management, leadership, these are, I think, the typical challenges anyone who is working abroad in a different cultural situation will face. But it's an exciting experience, and I enjoy very much to be here, also with the family. And Indonesia is an exciting market, and the country is beautiful, and the people are very nice and friendly. But it takes time to understand the mechanics and how business is done and how the whole system is working here.
What's facing the medical industry is the TKDN, or what is also known as the local content requirement in Indonesia. You've been here for 7 years with B. Braun. How has TKDN helped reduce import dependency or maybe affected the industry in general?
I mean, local content regulations have been around in Indonesia for quite some time. And when I came to the country, they were implemented already for the pharmaceutical market, not yet for the medical device market. And I think the government, due to the experiences during COVID, where we saw how dependent the country was and how difficult it was to get vaccines or to get certain medical devices into the country once supply chains might be disrupted, enforce and sped up the implementation of local content, which was a big challenge for the industry to adjust quickly. It definitely has boosted local manufacturing as such, while we can discuss then on how much is done by local companies, how much is done by international companies bringing technologies, products to the country. It has strengthened technology transfer, capacity building, and it is attracting investment from foreign companies, but also it is attracting investment by local businessmen, which see a lot of opportunities. B. Braun already had a production site for pharmaceuticals, so to a certain extent we foresaw that development, and we were producing already infusion solutions. And then the challenge is how to expand, how to do medical devices, which is from many aspects quite different to pharmaceuticals. We are on the way also to produce some of our medical devices in Indonesia.
Okay.
If you look at the numbers and you see on the degree of government procurement for medical devices back in 2020, 2021, more than 80% of the medical devices purchased on e-katalog were imported. And that this is now for 2025, we expect probably a 50-50, maybe
Really?
even
50-50
more.
already?
Yeah. So you see within a relatively short period of time, the procurement of medical devices dramatically changed towards local. Now, within the medical device world, it's very diverse from, let's say, very standard consumables, which are more easy to produce locally, to do a technology transfer, also from, let's say, economics, more attractive to localize, to, let's say, more complex, high technology products, which with low numbers, from a production point of view, on R&D point of view, on regulatory point of view, also much more complicated to localize. So it's a quite diverse development.
From the policy itself, what are the challenges you've encountered so far for the market then? Because I feel like, it's about getting those medical supplies into the market, right? And that affects that.
I mean, challenges of it is if you would consider also then the topic of cost.
Yeah.
I mean, the healthcare system as such is under a lot of pressure, and localization not necessarily makes a medical device cheaper. Economy of scale is important. Setting up new production facilities is an additional investment. So if you analyze the products from all industry now on e-katalog, if you check on comparable quality, the locally produced product not necessarily would be then the cheaper one. So this puts additional pressure on a healthcare system. And I think this is one of the topics where policymakers need to consider a good balance of strengthening local manufacturing, having a certain resilience, but still be open for innovation being imported. The local market itself does not provide enough volume. And that is something where I think a good balance is important. And from B. Braun, we are bringing those products to the country where we feel also we can do that cost effective and that the market benefits from having that product available locally and being produced locally. I think nobody benefits from us doing something locally and then the product is at a triple cost. I think that is not the objective of the government.
Yeah, that is the challenge for B. Braun to achieve that cost effectiveness. And
it's not a challenge specifically for B. Braun. It's going to be the challenge for all industry,
for all stakeholders,
for all multinationals who have established a production network, then to set up additional capacities for one specific market always will have a not so easy business case.
Would you say, I mean, this is going a bit probably too direct, but would you say right now it's a good balance of local and in terms of interest between foreign companies and the local government? Or maybe the whole goal, of course, is for the society in general, correct?
I think industry is supportive of, in general terms of these policies, while it is sometimes challenging to do these things as quickly as the regulations would foresee. But B. Braun, for example, is very supportive in reducing this dependency on importing, and we are supporting the national healthcare resilience. We are in close contact with the regulatory bodies, with Ministry of Health, but also we want to take away a little bit the focus just on looking at the products. B. Braun, as being a system provider, also wants to emphasize very much on training and education, on technical services and after-sales services. So we feel that if either private or public hospital is investing in medical devices, in investment goods, it's also important to see the full value chain. And Braun is focusing a lot in training and education. We do have a facility in Tabanan where we can offer trainings. We do have a local workshop for technical service. So we do the repairs and the maintenance locally. And we believe that needs to be considered as well, and not just the manufacturing and the assembly of a product.
Speaking of the volume of the market, in terms of, Indonesia is a big, relatively speaking, it is still a big market. It's a large market. And this large market requires medical access to medical supplies and pharmaceuticals. How do you see stakeholders, as we're talking about rising the challenges that not just B. Braun face, but all stakeholders? But how do you see, in general terms, from your view, how is everyone meeting this challenge?
So
currently,
Indonesia with 280 million inhabitants is in theory a huge market, but we have to understand that at this point the market is still very much underserved. If you look at the statistics and you compare ratio of hospital beds to population, if you measure GDP spending compared to other markets, there is still a big gap to some of even the neighboring countries. And the government has recognized that the Ministry of Health is with his strategy in transforming the healthcare and putting more emphasis and availability on infrastructure, but also very much in the development of a human workforce and strengthening education and training from healthcare professionals.
There's certainly another big gap
that they is doing a tremendous effort. It started with a BPJS implementation, which is incredibly done in the last years, but now 275 million people have access to healthcare. But also due to the difficult geographic situation in the country, it's not easy to have full coverage. And to have then well-trained professionals serving the public. These are the challenges. And again, industry should not be seen just as being a product provider. We do a lot of efforts in training and education, in supporting the ministry and the healthcare facilities, in upgrading the skill set, in providing innovative products, which make it also possible for the doctor, for the nurse to spend more time with the patient and less with a medical device. So these are things B. Braun is focusing on really to support that development. Definitely, there's a rising demand for quality treatment. The government wants to do the
high-tech one?
High-tech, but and wants to keep the patients in country. We see a strong development also in the private hospital market. There the big private hospital groups are advancing on a very fast pace. So that is with rising demand for then also good quality products definitely is existing.
Let's move that back to B. Braun a bit. Give us some of your highlights of the last few years, your examples, what B. Braun has been doing to improve manpower, to support the government in their objective, also to keep patients here.
Besides our product portfolio, which is established on a worldwide level, and then I guess also serves well the Indonesian healthcare market, we specifically I would want to highlight two activities. One is our training center in Tabanan, where we can do wet labs, where doctors can practice on minimal invasive surgical procedures, develop their skill sets. The other activity is that we do specific consultation programs where we go into the hospital, where we analyze their processes and give recommendation on what we call sterile goods management. So all the products being used in the OR world, they need to be cleaned, they need to be sterilized, they need to be maintained. Typically, these products are being purchased with investment budgets and should have need good maintenance and good usage to justify the investment, and we want to help to protect that investment with our consultation.
Okay. How's the feedback been?
Feedback specifically from the private hospital market is very, very positive. Our team is busy all day long and asked to come in. And typically in the beginning, some of the stakeholders in the hospital might be a bit critical and would also feel that IRB Braun is doing that to sell products afterwards. But once they get our report and see our findings, they really understand that this is an approach to consult them, to teach them, to educate them. And then obviously we would also hope that they feel that if a company can provide these insights and provide consultation, that they then also would refer to us in our questions and if they have a demand to procure.
It's fair. I mean, in general, you want to improve you want to improve the market, you want to improve the availability, you want to make those medical devices available, and you do it kind of both ways and make it a win-win situation, right?
And this is why it's so important for us to provide all these elements of the value chain, from consultation to the product, but then also the related after-sales service and the education on how to use these products so that the healthcare professionals can do their work efficiently and the investment budget is also spent efficiently.
That's all going on in Indonesia right now, but the world doesn't always give a nice, conducive climate environment to do these things, to grow and help the market to have medical supplies available. We're talking certainly the U.S. tariffs, the war in parts of Asia, Europe, that's causing energy prices to rise and disrupting the value chain. Has this affected B. Braun? Maybe that's like a broad condition, but everything is affected, and healthcare is one of those critical industries that has to keep running.
Yes. Well, these rising tariffs, the global trade tensions can disrupt supply chains and affect the availability of critical components and raw materials. And B. Braun tries to mitigate these risks by sourcing regionally, by having a manufacturing network, not being too dependent on one specific site. While we always need to then also understand that medical device and pharmaceutical is highly regulated. So that makes it even more tricky. But the understand, and this is why then it's also important for our customers to see a very reliable, seeing B. Braun as a very reliable partner who has the capabilities and the knowledge and the expertise to maintain this stable supply chain. And sometimes when you have to be creative, or you then have to do the extra effort and fly in products rather than depending on then maybe a sea freight container which needs to go around Africa rather than through the Suez Canal. But this is something we are experienced with dealing, and local production can be one solution. And our local manufacturing operations support to make sure we are more resilient. But in today's world, it sometimes becomes unpredictable, and I think this is a challenge for all industry, for all industry partners and for all of us, and something hopefully will be less
of a
critical in the future again.
Well, the reason I ask is because what support do you need usually? And in cases like this, I mean, certainly it's a complicated matter, the way the world is running. The government are trying to support industry and trying to keep healthcare available for the market and for its people. What support does companies like B. Braun would need for this to not pose as big of not be as tricky as and maintain that cost effectiveness we talked about earlier in the show?
I think it shows that we need, within this regulatory framework or within like local content policies, we still need a certain flexibility. Flexibility in terms of that, while you create an investment climate to strengthen local production, and that you want to encourage companies to source locally on raw materials or components, in parallel, you still need also the possibilities open to import, so that you have the flexibility in case something is happening.
Okay.
If you go black and white, I think it might get to a situation where you suddenly have a challenge also in a local supply environment. If suddenly a certain raw material is not available to whatever reason, if you then have cut all ties to the international supply network, you might see delays when in bringing in the goods. So I think that is what industry, the medical or the associations always trying to lobby with the governments and raise awareness of. Yes, we support local content. Yes, we support and we want to strengthen local industry and manufacturing. But let's do it careful. Let's do it balanced. Otherwise, you might run into other pitfalls.
Yeah, that is certainly I feel like that's the theme of this topic, and as well as the show in general for this episode. That healthcare it's a challenging industry because right now you have to strike a balance.
It has a lot of facets. It has a lot of dimensions, because in the end it's always about caring for our patients. So in healthcare, regulatory bodies, healthcare providers, hospitals, dialysis center, healthcare professionals and industry need to work together. We should be ideally one team in terms of research and development, in terms of product safety, product quality, in terms of making the products available and doing all of that for the best care possible for the patient. That should be our main motivation. And I think that might be different from other industries. Also, the responsibility we have with our products and with the services we support from healthcare providers. So it always should be something these different players in the market need to work together for the good of the patient care. And this collaborative approach of regulatory bodies, government, healthcare providers and industry is manifested in B. Braun's branding, sharing expertise. We truly believe in bringing all these competencies together for the good of the patients.
You said it far better than I could have. And I think that's a great way to end the show. Thank you, Pak Ruppel.
Thank you, my pleasure.
And thank you to everyone watching. We hope that you've been able to learn something new from this short discussion. If you'd like to see more of what we do, please visit our website. Don't hesitate to contact us and give us your feedback, or email us on the topics you'd like us to cover in our future podcasts. This has been from the Archipelago. I have been your host, Andra Wisnu.
Rainer Ruppel, thank you very much.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.